Reading Magic with Figment and Peter Pan is pretty great. This was released in 1989. It's directed by Mark Jean and written by Jamie Simons, and it stars Billy Barty as the voice of Figment. I'm looking at IMDb. I don't know who plays the little girl or indeed who plays Peter Pan. If anybody can provide that information, please feel free to do so. This one doesn't really feature Figment that much, and out of the Figment cartoons or films that I've seen so far, I tend to prefer the ones that have a little bit more Figment, a bit more animation. But actually, because the character of Peter Pan in this is great and the message is really great, I don't mind that so much. It's basically all about this girl helping Peter Pan to see the value in learning to read. And Peter Pan doesn't know how to read, and she reads some stories to him. She reads some stories that are very Disney themed. For example, she pulls out a book of the Jungle Book, and we do get to see some animation on screen from other Disney films, but I won't spoil it by going into too much detail about that. But everything's edited together really well, and she helps Peter Pan to realize that if he learns to read, he can gain useful knowledge. And Peter Pan says at one point, I didn't write the quote, I can't remember it exactly, but he said something to the effect of, if I learn to read the stories with Captain Hook, I will be able to know what Captain Hook is going to do. And it's all about knowledge is power. And I think that that's a really great tactic, particularly for young children who maybe don't have an interest in reading. They might not care about stories. They might not care about using their imagination. And although I feel like that's a shame, not every child is going to love reading fiction, for example. But if you lead with the idea that if they read, they will become more knowledgeable. And if you're more knowledgeable, you become more powerful. Then that is something that I think can definitely appeal to others. If they're not interested in the stories and the imagination and the adventures, maybe the knowledge is power approach can be really beneficial. And I like the fact that we do get a bit of that, as well as some really interesting stories. Very well filmed. We mostly just spend time with Peter Pan and the girl. I really like the person playing Peter Pan. As I said, on IMDb, that information is unfortunately not there. But I do think that the role was played very well. Absolutely no issues there. So even though I do prefer the ones where Figment features more prominently, I actually thought this worked really, really well. And I love the messages. I love the variety in the stories. I love how well everything was explained. I certainly think it definitely could encourage children, hopefully could encourage children who maybe don't take an interest in reading to maybe think about picking up a book. And of course, if a child watching it does like reading, then there's going to be that familiarity and that sense of comfort. And I think that that's something that is really great as well. So no complaints from me. It's a nice idea, well executed. Everything's edited together. The performances are really great. Reading Magic with Figment and Peter Pan is definitely a pretty decent film. And if you like Figment, if you like Disney, if you like Peter Pan, it's definitely worth checking out.